Welcome to a special summer session of CNN 10. My name is Carl Azus. We hope that despite everything going on around the world, you're still finding ways to enjoy the season. On Saturday afternoon at about 5 o'clock local time, Hurricane Hanna made landfall in Padre Island, Texas. It was a Category 1 storm, the weakest classification of hurricane. Hanna's maximum sustained winds were 90 miles per hour. It brought more than a foot of rain to parts of southern Texas, with more in the forecast. It brought the threat of dangerous flooding. It knocked out power to more than 260,000 homes. Texas Governor Greg Abbott issued a disaster declaration for 32 counties in the state, which can speed up help and recovery assistance to those who need it. The governor says one thing that's made this challenge bigger is that the hurricane hit an area that's been badly affected by the spread of coronavirus. So he asked Texans to be mindful of the disease while they assess the damage from the storm. Hurricane Hanna was the first hurricane of the Atlantic season, which officially runs from June 1st through November 30th. Former U.S. Representative John Lewis of Georgia wasn't just part of the federal government for 33 years. He was an important figure in U.S. civil rights history. Along with Dr. Martin Luther King Jr., Lewis was among the leaders of the Selma March for Voting Rights in 1965. It took place in Selma, Alabama, one of the states where there had been resistance to allowing African Americans to vote, even though U.S. law at the time made discrimination illegal. When the marchers reached the Edmund Pettus Bridge in Selma, police and state troopers violently pushed them back. But the event, which was aired on live TV, turned up the spotlight on the issue of civil rights in America, and it led to the Voting Rights Act of 1965, which aimed to remove any barriers that prevented Black Americans from voting. John Lewis, at age 80, died on July 17th after a months-long battle with cancer. On Sunday, a horse-drawn carriage carried his casket across the Edmund Pettus Bridge, Lewis's final journey over the U.S. landmark.
Participants were attempting to march from Selma, Alabama to the state capital of Montgomery. 17 people were hospitalized, including Lewis. This would become known as Bloody Sunday. And Lewis would always show the same commitment and fight he demonstrated on the bridge that day.
53 years after you all marched on this bridge, why is it so important to come back and to keep coming back every year?
This is the place that gave us the Voting Rights Act, made it possible for hundreds and thousands and millions of people to be able to participate in the democratic process. You cannot give up. You cannot give in. You will make it. They will lead us.
This past March, while suffering from stage 4 cancer, Lewis, as determined as ever, traveled to Selma twice to mark the march's 55th anniversary, and was still pushing decades later.
Second trivia. Frank Sir, an American educator, is best known for his contributions to what? School buses, mathematics, physical fitness, or whiteboards? Frank Sir is known as the father of the yellow school bus for helping set its standards. When exactly will schools reopen? Will students attend in person or online or in some combo of both? Will there be sports? Will there be crowded lunchrooms? What will seating look like? Thanks to COVID-19, these are some of the questions that American educators have been grappling with all summer, and some places don't know the answers yet, so this has been anything but a summer off. New guidelines from the U.S. Centers for Disease Control strongly favor reopening schools this fall. They say children are less likely to spread coronavirus than adults, that kids don't suffer as much from it, and that they're likely to suffer more in other ways if schools stay closed. But they also say that schools should be closed if the virus is going out of control. At this point, school plans look different from state to state and even district to district. And while working parents are scrambling to figure out childcare plans for those students who will be home, others are trying to figure out transportation for those who will be in school buildings.
These buses are overloaded.
Honestly, it was what?
Lucy Forbes was shocked when she learned that her 13-year-old daughter won't be eligible to take a school bus to and from her Houston middle school. The city's acting superintendent recently announced that in order to meet CDC social distancing guidelines, only a fraction of its 60,000 students who regularly ride the bus will have an available seat.
Only special education, homeless, and priority students will be transported.
We have to make alternatives.
Forbes, a single mother, works full-time. Her hours at the office make it nearly impossible for her to drive her daughter herself.
For me, it will require a 2-hour commute a day. I have a greater spectrum of options, and I am worried about the families who don't.
We have normally anywhere from 76, I think, to 83 students per capacity. As you can see, we've labeled our seats where we would space students out.
And does this require configuring every school bus in the city?
We're working through that right now.
Refitting buses is a challenge for school districts already facing budget pressures. Austin, Texas announced buses will have a capacity of 12 students, and like Houston, only eligible students will be provided with initial seating. Atlanta will be limiting bus ridership to 60%. Philadelphia Public Schools plan to limit each school bus to 11 to 15 students. Smaller cities are also feeling the pressure.
It's more of a rural school issue. Many of your bigger metropolitan schools, where they may have more students, but quite often have smaller geographic districts.
The Ionia School District covers more than 132 square miles across Michigan, where over 1,500 students rely on bus transportation. Superintendent Ron Wilson is running out of options when schools will open their doors August 26th.
I would not have enough buses to socially distance the kids. I would need basically 6 buses to complete a single bus route.
It's not just about keeping kids safe. Many school bus drivers are concerned about possible risks to their own health, too.
As you can see, they haven't done anything to these buses. We should have a petition, something that will block us from the kids as they board the bus.
Robert Sally has been a school bus driver in the Boston area for 39 years.
I get a lot of calls from drivers to ask me, what is the plan for starting September 10th? And it's really bad to say, we don't know anything.
There are currently few solutions at hand. The school bus industry has introduced a $10 billion relief plan that Congress may or may not take up. Social distancing will make carpooling less appealing. And according to the CDC, less than 10% of U.S. students walk or bike to most schools.
It's great to say that schools are open, but if we don't have a way, a reliable way that's organized and structured to send our kids there, it will trickle down into nothing else happening either.
Bianca Rodriguez, CNN, New York.
For 10 out of 10 today, penguins versus dinosaurs. Or at least, penguins observing dinosaurs. The birds are from Chicago's Shed Aquarium. The fossils are from the city's Field Museum. The reason is because cute. It also provided an incredible photo op as the animals waddled around the museum while it was closed because of coronavirus. They've been getting a little more time out and about recently while the crowds were away. But they always let you know, Ping, when it's time to go home because while they may appear frightless, they're still flightless, and it's not like they can just wing their way beat. I'm Carl Azus, and that's CNN.